In this video, we're going to be drawing this deer, and in particular paying attention to the proportions, such as the size of its body compared to the length of its legs and the length of its head. And I'm going to show you how to measure for those proportions using just your pencil. Okay, so the basic shape of the deer, looking at this deer, I'm going to start with the basic shape I see. It's got this long oval body. So I'm going to sketch out a long oval. And it's not going to be perfect to start. We're just trying to get it on the paper. Okay, and then I want to sketch in the legs. So I'm looking, and this leg is a straight line coming down here, and with a little bit of a curved line there, within the other leg right beside it. This one, sorry, my dog is barking outside. Somebody must be coming up. Coming out like that, and down like that. Okay, now I'm going to check and see if those proportions are right. Well, let me go ahead and sketch in his head first too. I want to make sure he's going to fit on the paper. So his head to me sort of looks like a triangle almost. Let me sketch that in. I can tell right now his back is much too large for his head, but that's okay. But he does fit on the paper. So there he is. So now I want to get him right because I can tell he's a little off. Okay, so what I'm going to do, if all I have is a pencil, you don't need a ruler to measure. This you can measure with just a pencil. So I'm going to lay it across the body of the deer. And I have the tip of the pencil at one end of the deer. I'm going to look and see where it comes to, which is right here. And I'm just going to grab that with my fingers. So from the tip of the pencil to my thumb is the length of the deer. Now if I want him to be just the same, which I think I do for this purpose, he's on the same size sheet of paper, I can look at that and say, my deer is too short. Do you see that? The back of him should come to here, although that actually might be about right with the addition of the tail. And then it comes, I can do it again, to right there. Okay, so then looking at his leg, now this part, if I'm looking at this, this actually slopes down a little bit. So I'm going to fix this up a little. Make that slope a little bit down. Still, his head looks a little small to me. Let me erase this line. We don't need that anymore. Okay, so I'm going to check his width. If this is his length, right there, I'm going to see how wide he is. So for width, he comes to right there. That's less than halfway. So I'm going to maybe decide another way to measure that. Maybe I'm going to measure from the back of his leg to here, and then turning it. That's a little closer to halfway. If I go from the back of his leg to his chest, and look, that width is about right. So I got that right. Okay, let's check his legs now. So again, here's the length of the body. I'm going to go with the whole length from his tail to his chest just to see. And his legs are a little shorter. Looks like maybe 3/4 of that. This is a good time to put fractions into practice. Let me go a little smaller. I'm going to go from the back of his leg to his chest. And it doesn't matter what you use as your reference. You just have to find one that works. And that's about right. It's a little bit shorter than that. So the back of his leg to his chest. And this leg is a little bit shorter, which actually I think I got that pretty close right there. I don't have to change that very much. So that actually is surprising. I got his legs proportioned right. Now this one, he's going up a hill. Can you see how my pencil is on a little bit of an incline? Because of how he's standing, so I can do that. So this leg is going to come here. Now looking at this part of his leg from like where his stomach touches his thigh to the knee is about the same as the knee to the ground. So if this is the knee to the ground, then this would be about the same, and that's about right. So I need to, I'm backing that knee up a little bit. Probably more like that is how its back leg is going to go. It looks like it's missing a leg, doesn't it? I think this deer should have another leg right in there. But you can add that. Maybe they're just side by side so you can't see it. Okay, now looking at his head. His chest goes up like this. His head, it's actually a straight line coming up like that, isn't it? And then there comes his little nose. So, what can I measure? I could measure the length of his leg from the tip to my finger against the length of his nose. And it's a little more than half. Do you see that? From the tip to that line. The length of his leg from the tip to my finger. His nose is going to be a little more than half, so his nose will be a little bit longer than I had it. Right out to about here. Part of the reason why his head looked so small, I think, against his body. And then that's going to go up. Oop, I think that went up too high. And then one ear coming off that way. And the other coming off that way. But you get the idea. I think his nose is a little bit too long. I'm going to back it up a little bit. But anyway, you get the idea. So you can use your pencil. You don't even need a ruler to measure things to get the proportions right. And this is especially helpful when you're drawing an animal with long legs, because sometimes I think sometimes people tend to make the legs a little bit short, or especially when you're drawing a person. It's a good way to get those proportions right as well. Arms and legs sometimes, at least for me, tend to be a little bit on the short side. But by using your pencil to measure, you can get them just right.